You think you understand how banks work. You've got your savings account, your checking, maybe a credit card. You feel financially literate. You know about interest rates, FDIC insurance, fractional reserve banking. You're trusting a system you don't actually understand. Because here's what they don't teach you in any economics class. Modern banking isn't built on math. It's not built on technology. It's built on the same psychological trick that convinced ancient humans to leave their life savings in a building full of strangers who claimed to speak to invisible gods. The entire global financial system, the thing holding your mortgage, your retirement, your ability to buy groceries tomorrow, runs on a 4,000-year-old religious ritual that we just forgot was a ritual. We replaced priests with algorithms. We replaced temples with apps. We replaced the fear of divine punishment with a logo, an FDIC sticker, a terms of service agreement you didn't read. And that swap, that seemingly innocent modernization, it's why every banking crisis in history follows the exact same pattern. It's why Silicon Valley Bank collapsed in 48 hours. It's why your grandparents stuffed cash in mattresses during the Depression. Because the only thing holding money together has never been gold, or governments, or blockchain. It's been trust. And we broke the ritual that created it. And then it gets worse. Imagine waking up tomorrow and the vibe around banks just shifts. Not because of a hack, not because of a crash. The numbers on your phone are still there, your balance hasn't changed. But overnight, everyone, simultaneously, collectively, stops believing in banks. The feeling evaporates, like a mass hallucination ending. You'd pull your money out immediately, right? Everyone would. Within hours, not days, the entire system would collapse. Not from a technical failure, from a vibe shift. Your pension? Gone. Not because the money disappeared, but because everyone stopped believing the money was real at the same moment. This isn't science fiction. This is literally how every single banking crisis in history starts. It's not a math problem, it's a trust collapse. And here's the absolutely insane part. The original bankers, the first people to figure this game out, knew this was the only thing that mattered. They knew the entire system was one bad vibe away from total annihilation. So they didn't build vaults. They didn't hire security guards. They built temples, and they put gods in charge. Modern banking was invented during the Renaissance. Italian merchants in Florence created double-entry bookkeeping. Goldsmiths started issuing receipts for stored gold, which became paper money. Then came central banks, then FDIC insurance, then digital banking. It's a neat linear story of progress, from primitive to sophisticated, from superstition to science, from chaos to control. Banking, they tell us, evolved rationally. We figured it out. We built systems. We created regulations. We modernized. But that's only the version they put on the About Us page of Chase's website, because it's a sanitized, corporate-friendly history that deliberately leaves out the most important part. The entire foundation of banking was built on supernatural terror. The truth? The true, real bankers weren't merchants. They were priests. In ancient Mesopotamia, Greece, and Rome, the safest place to store your wealth wasn't a fortress, it wasn't a castle, it wasn't under your bed, it was a temple. The Temple of Artemis in Ephesus, the Temple of Apollo at Delphi, the ziggurats of Babylon. Why? Not because they had better locks, not because they had armed guards, because stealing from a king might get you executed, but stealing from the gods? That would curse you, your children, your bloodline for eternity. That would damn your soul. That would bring divine wrath down on everything you loved. The ultimate deterrent wasn't violence, it was metaphysical horror. When you deposited your grain, your gold, your life savings at a temple, you weren't making a financial transaction. You were entering into a sacred covenant, a divine contract. The priest wasn't a banker, he was a spiritual escrow agent, a witness from the realm of the gods. The interest you paid, that was a tithe, an offering, payment for the gods' protection. The entire system was built on a communal ritual, supernatural fear, and divine accountability. Your money was literally safer with an invisible deity than in your own home. And here's the kicker. It worked for thousands of years. And this is where the story gets absolutely unhinged, because that system, the one based on gods and curses and eternal damnation, was more stable than what we have now. So here's the billion-dollar question nobody asks. What happened when we fired the gods and hired governments and algorithms to do their job? What's the modern equivalent of eternal damnation? A fine? A lawsuit that takes a decade? A sternly worded letter from the SEC? We moved the foundation of trust from the supernatural realm to the legal realm, and then spent the last 300 years watching it crack over and over and over again. The dirty secret of modern finance? It's deliberately fragile, masked by complexity. The temples had a simple, elegant failsafe, the fear of divine wrath. Everyone understood it, everyone believed it. It was a universally accepted story. You steal from the temple, the gods destroy you. Simple, visceral, effective. Modern banks have a failsafe too, but it's a much shakier story. The too big to fail doctrine and the government backstop. The belief that the state will always step in, that taxpayers will cover the losses, that politicians will have the will and the ability to save the system when it collapses. But that's not trust in the bank, that's trust in the taxpayer, in bureaucracy, in political will. You're not trusting a deity, you're trusting a committee. You're trusting politicians who get voted out every 4 years. You're trusting a system that changes with every administration. And this wasn't an accident. It's a ticking bomb built on a mountain of legal documents instead of a bedrock of sacred belief. And everyone in a corner office pretends the fuse isn't getting shorter. It's like replacing the foundation of a cathedral with 1,000,000 post-it notes and calling it innovation. And anyone who points this out, they get labeled a doomsayer, a conspiracy theorist, financially illiterate. It's the ultimate civilizational vibe check. And lately, the vibe is giving anxious. Let me show you exactly how this plays out in your life right now. Temple oaths to terms of service. You used to swear a sacred oath in front of witnesses, invoking the gods, risking your eternal soul. Now you click I agree on a 47-page document you didn't read, written by lawyers, designed to protect the bank from you. The ritual is hollowed out. The weight is gone. Communal trust in the priest to algorithmic trust in the app. In the ancient world, you knew the priest. He was part of your community. He had a reputation, he had a face, he had a family the gods could punish if he betrayed you. Now your trust is in a black box algorithm, an AI that decides your credit score, a system that freezes your account for suspicious activity with zero explanation. A chatbot that tells you to try again later. You're trusting code written by people you'll never meet, optimized for profit with no divine accountability. Divine wrath to the FDIC logo on your bank's website. An FDIC logo in the corner of your bank's website. A promise from a fallible institution. A backstop funded by, well, by you, actually. By taxpayers. By printing more money. It's a powerful symbol, but it's a promise from mortals, not gods. And we've watched it fail. We watched it in 2008. We watched it with Lehman Brothers. We watched it with Silicon Valley Bank. Every time there's a bailout, every time there's a new fee, every time there's a collapse, it's not just money that's lost. It's a tiny chip taken out of the foundation of secular trust. We're running a 21st century global trillion-dollar digital financial system on a trust model that's been crumbling since we left the temples, and the cracks are getting bigger. So what's the move? I'm not telling you to bury gold in your backyard. I'm not telling you to start worshiping Zeus and depositing your savings at the Parthenon. This isn't about going backwards. It's about financial consciousness. It's about seeing the system for what it actually is, an incredibly complex, often fragile web of human promises. Once you see that, you stop being a passive user. You become a conscious participant. Here's how you adapt. 1. Diversify your trust. Don't give one institution the temple-level trust it hasn't earned. The ancient temples worked because they had divine accountability. Your bank has a customer service line. Split your assets. Use different banks. Explore credit unions. Hold some cash. Consider a small percentage in non-custodial options. Crypto wallets you control, not an exchange. Be your own priest. Build your own vault. 2. Reward transparency over promises. A bank that clearly explains its actions, its fees, its risks, that's building modern trust. A platform with obscure rules, hidden fees, and vague terms, that's eroding it. Vote with your money. Transparency is the modern equivalent of divine accountability. 3. Build your own temple. Your real security isn't a
Bank balance? It can be frozen. It can be bailed in. It can evaporate in a crisis. Your real security is your skills, your network, your ability to adapt and create value regardless what the system does. Invest in those. They can't be frozen by an algorithm. They can't be wiped out by a crash. The history of finance is a history of trust. We went from fearing gods to trusting paperworks. The future will be about whether we can build digital systems that are inherently trustworthy as a sacred oath once was. Not through fear, through transparency, through alignment, through good design. Don't just trust the system, understand it, question it, and then build your own version of unshakable. If this made you rethink the numbers on your screen, if you're looking at your banking app a little bit different now, then you get what this channel is all about. We dig up the buried, uncomfortable history of money to make you smarter, more aware, and harder to manipulate. This system counts on you not asking these questions, on you accepting the vibe without examining the foundation. We are not doing that anymore. Next time you click I agree without reading, remember you are participating in a 4,000-year-old ritual. You just don't know it, and that's exactly how they want it. The gods are gone, the priests are gone, but the game never changed. And if you like my videos and more like this, please subscribe to my channel.